Welcome to this episode of AI Live. My name is Brian Terry, and I'm a senior partner solution architect here at AWS, focusing on Gen AI migrations to Amazon Bedrock. And I'm joined here with my good friend Parajat. Parajat, how would you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Brian. Hello, everyone. My name is Parijat, and I am a senior partner solution architect as well. And I'm focusing on migrations and modernizations using generative AI. These days, everybody's asking, how do we use generative AI to modernize my applications? So that's where my focus has been these days.
Absolutely. And welcome, audience. If this is your first time joining us, we're super excited that you're here. For the people that join us every other week or every week to see a show, we're happy that you're back. You can join us almost about every 2 weeks now, up until reInvent, every Wednesday at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. But then after that, we will go back to our standard run show, which will be every week. And this is the show where AWS talks to its partners about its latest talk to his partners about AI solutions, Gen AI solutions, and tech around that. So yeah, I'm super excited. So Parajot, there's been some news lately in the Gen AI space. What have you seen?
Absolutely. So this week, it was a big announcement. So AWS and OpenAI, we just announced a
Mhm.
multi-year strategic partnership. So that means OpenAI will now run and scale its core AI workloads on AWS's leading infrastructure, a huge steps that starts immediately. And the other news from last week, Project Rainier, one of the world's most powerful operational AI supercomputer, is now live. It's built by AWS in collaboration with Anthropic. It harnesses nearly 500,000 Trainium 2 chips to fuel next generation AI for research and development. And on the innovation front, Amazon introduced uh, capabilities in its Nova platform,
Mhm.
including web grounding, which enables real time citation based on web retrieval. And finally, again, for Amazon Nova, multi model embeddings are now available. So it's a model that combines different data types for far more accurate RAG and semantic search results. Both features are already available through Amazon Bedrock.
Wow, that's super interesting stuff. So out of those exciting announcements, which one's your favorite?
Uh, both the big ones, right? The Anthropic, uh, basically the biggest AI operational clusters, or you talk about the OpenAI collaboration with Amazon. So that truly proves that with Amazon, with AWS, our customers will get the widest choice of anything, be it LLMs, be it different kind of services, so that which will truly help them modernize their workloads using nowadays like Gen AI, agentic AI.
Awesome. That is super cool. I'm pretty excited about the Nova multimodal vector embeddings. I think that's super cool, and I think it's going to be super effective and probably cost effective too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So I just want to give a shout out to University of North Dakota. We were there on site to give a kind of workshop for them during the IEEE conference. We were super excited to see the school. It was super excited to see partners there. It was super excited to have people go through the lab. And basically, we did a kind of a Gen AI and then IO2 lab there. But we also did some other things, like I presented a paper on Amazon Bedrock, and I'm the first author on it. So stay tuned to see that publication, and I'm super excited about it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
All
So,
right.
so yeah, so I think like I said in my introduction, that my area of specialization is modernization, and I know we AWS works with a lot of unique partners who are bringing in tremendous value in terms of modernization. So, and this is a show for the partners. So I think it's time to bring our next guest, whose topic kinds of relates with my area of interest. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. Let's bring them on. Hello and welcome to AI Live. We're super excited to have you here. How about you introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Purjit, for the opportunity. My name is Tanu Sundaresan. I work for Publicis Sapient as a practice lead for our GenAI-based legacy modernization. And I'm based out of Toronto.
Welcome. We're super excited to have you on the show. I'm a big fan of your company. For those of the viewers that don't know who your company is, can you talk a little bit about who your company is and what you guys do?
Yeah, can I jump straight into the slide? So there is a slide which talks about it.
Oh, you have slides. Oh, cool. Absolutely.
Awesome. So we are a software consulting company over 30 plus years of experience. We work across the globe. We focus heavily on AI, cloud, and handling large scale data. We have close to about 13,000 trained AI engineers, and we work across multiple industry verticals like retail, healthcare, fintech, travel, and government services, energy and government services.
Oh, super interesting.
Wonderful. So tell us more about, what are you doing in the space of AI, generative AI, agentic AI, and so that yeah, we can take that as a starting point for the conversation.
Awesome. Okay. So, as part of the conversation that we have with our client, one thing that we do see is that they have significant challenges modernizing legacy applications. There is high cost, it's overrunning timelines, highly risky, and business eventually sees there is no lack of value in the investment that they have made to do the legacy modernization. So this is a problem we wanted to solve with the advancements in generative AI. So what we did is we have built a generative AI based system, uh, which is which kind of helps you understand the business logic that's deeply embedded into our code, embedded into the legacy code, get the specs out of the legacy code, and then help from the specs helps you create modern code, modern test cases, and I'll take you all the way till deployment. So covering the entirety of the SDLC lifecycle, and it kind of it's along with the services that we have built, the agents that we have built. We also have a what we call as a context graph, which is a central part of our offering, which kind of ties all this information that we are providing to our system and all the information that we are generating out of the system together.
Oh, that's super interesting. So let's just take a 10,000 view of kind of what this solution looks like. So let's assume that, I am a business. I have this legacy app on Cobalt, right? How would this solution kind of address that solution and help me kind of modernize that product?
Okay, I'll quickly run through that. Okay. So, so what we have done is we have 4 to 5 distinct stages part of the modernization. The first thing that we do is through our framework, we go through the legacy code and extract the business logic that is there in the code in the various formats, and we call it the whole process code to specification. It's a distinct process in itself. It provides outputs which can be visualized, reviewed, and even modified. From here, what we do is we take it through a modern design process, also completely supported through our framework. And from the design, we go towards generating modern code. In parallel, while the code is getting created, we use the specs to also create test scenarios and also to automate those test scenarios into a test automation tool of your choice. So eventually what we do is the code that is getting created through the workflow is tested by the test cases that are created through a parallel workflow, each of them using the specs that are generated from the legacy code as the primary source of information.
Yeah. So I see something called a slingshot in the slide. So what is slingshot?
Okay. Slingshot is the I'm jumping back to the slide if that is all right. So Slingshot is the platform platform that Sapient has built. It kind of covers two distinct responsibilities. It helps you create greenfield development, help you accelerate greenfield development. It also helps you modernize legacy applications, different tech stacks, including Cobalt. So naturally, it's as a foundation, it has services that can help you be completely LLM agnostic and provides services like authentication and governance, cross-cutting concerns, basically. Supported by an elaborate set of agent catalogs, each one dedicated to solve a particular part of an SDLC or a legacy modernization, and a workflow that basically helps you orchestrate these agents as well, and tied together through the context graph that I was referring previously, which kind of holds all this information that are provided to the system and all the information that the system creates, uh, uh, tie them together. Okay, and we also have AI assistants, a whole bunch of prompt libraries, mature prompts, and also specific capabilities that can help you address, let's say, creating a backlog, managing your Scrum, or be a pair programmer as a plugin through your through an IDE.
Wow, this is super interesting. This platform looks really cool, and it looks like it's built on agentic workflow. Can you talk a little bit about how this application that you guys have built has helped speed up these modernization processes?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So all that we all the systems that we see, this all tested in large scale across multiple business verticals. We see close to 99.95% of quality of the specifications that are getting created from your legacy code. That's a big win. This is one of the areas where our customers struggle significantly. Overall, we see that the speed of delivery has increased upwards of about 70%, and a significant reduction in overall migration cost, and a very short time for you to go from for your time to market, going from your concept to cash. And this is tested across multiple healthcare verticals, multiple industry verticals, including healthcare, fintech, and retail. For one of our consumers, we are modernizing close to about 100 plus green screens. These are CACS screens, mainframe screens, every week. And the screens are migrated towards React-based front end with Java Spring Boot as backend. And we are deploying them into about close to about 3,000 screens already on production.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I like this number 50 to 70% faster delivery and up to 30% of cost reduction. These are really compelling numbers. So I had a question, at a maybe 20,000 feet level. So basically, uh, modernization, it's a continuous journey, right? So we started from monolith applications, and we talked about breaking them down into microservices, moving them onto containers, serverless, and now agents, right? Agentic AI. So it's almost like a recurring cycle that the customer has to abide to in order to remove that tech debt that accumulates over a period of time. So how are you breaking this cycle today, and how do you see AI playing the biggest role in this change?
See, across the board, that's what I would say, right? So it's not just about creating a code or creating specs. It's about how do you use AI to accelerate your entire SDLC, and that is a key differentiator that Sapient and Slingshot offers. Because one thing that we see as we are doing this on scale, this legacy migration on scale, is that you suddenly see like a one Scrum team of, let's say, about 7 to 8 people delivering 3 times the volume. So 3 times the code that is created, 3 times the test cases that are getting created, hence 3 times the deployment that we'll be making to production. So looking at it as a particular piece of your modernizing a particular piece of SDLC, we see will always lead to challenges. Also, we look at SDLC as a whole and we modernize it completely through generative AI.
Got it. So and at AWS, we are calling it as AI DLC, which is slightly different from SDLC. So
Yeah.
are you also employing those ways of working, and how do you see that being different than SDLC,
So
traditional SDLC?
we call it AI assisted agile, right? So
Okay.
yeah, so the whole same concept. It is how do you ensure that we adapt AI driven practices across the entire workflow of either legacy modernization or greenfield development. I think that is key. And this actually goes all the way beyond deployment too. Like, how do you ensure that you're able to monitor the application that you have just made deployed into production? How do you ensure that you still can have mean time to your SLAs around MTTR, for example? How do you ensure that AI can play a role in this? Because the sheer amount of scale across the board, it's not possible for a human to monitor um, on his or her own across the board. So AI has to play a role, not just for development, but also beyond that.
Well said.
Oh, yep. And speaking about the speed, so how are you seeing, and impressive numbers, so 99.5%, for the generative spec fidelity. So how is that, affecting or is it affecting the quality of the code that is being produced at all?
No, I think quality kind of goes hand in hand with this, with the speed, right? So you can't compromise quality for the sake of speed and cost, because the system that we are working with for our clients are highly critical P0 systems, which any issues in the system or any functional issues that non-functional issues that got introduced can result in like millions of dollars of loss.
Yeah.
So quality is paramount. So we have multiple ways to ensure quality. Of course, automation is key. So we have our agents. First point of what do you say? The first safety net is through our agents themselves. So the second is we also have deterministic systems that we use to verify the output that is coming from GenAI, which is a non-deterministic systems. We have a patented approach, we call it DBRE, that we use. And then you can never remove the human in the loop. So highly trained AI engineers. So when I say AI engineers, these are folks who have some strong basic skill set either on COBOL, mainframe, or even modern technologies like Java, Python, cloud. So all of them, they have their core skill, and on top of that, they are trained on AI, and they are trained to look at the output that is coming out of the AI systems and intervene when it is needed.
Yep, makes
Awesome.
sense.
Cool. So I think you have a demo to show. Is that true? So we take a look at that.
Yeah, awesome. Let me do that quickly.
All right.
So just before on the demo, I just touched upon it quickly. So there are 5 different stages in our legacy modernization. This specifically, the demo is for legacy modernization. We are going to take a COBOL code and we are going to transform it into a Java-based application. So I'm going to demo the first, the code to specification and the specification to code part of it. In code to specification, we're going to take a COBOL code and convert it into specifications, documentation. And then in spec to code, we are going to take that documentation and convert that into a modern microservices application built using Spring Boot. Okay.
Awesome.
So, so what we are doing here, can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, we're just providing some information to our framework on what kind of modernization that we are going to do, and we just inputted a COBOL file in a zip format into the system, and we just started it. So what it on the right, you'll see the progress. You see the various changes within this specification. Each one actually creates an artifact in itself, which can be reviewed independently, and we provide them to our clients also as we go through the steps. So the steps are designed in such a way that as you go through each of those steps, the technical details of the legacy code gets filtered out iteratively, and eventually in the last step that you see, you create pure functional documents. But along the way, we do create diagrams which shows how the legacy code works, the COBOL code works. We create dependency graphs showing the dependencies that the COBOL code has on different applications and business requirement documents, etc. Okay. Sorry, it went to the previous one.
So I think I had one question, but I think that video kind of answered that. But I wanted to ask, what are the different legacy platforms it supports from modernization standpoint? Is it just COBOL, or can it also upgrade legacy Java, .NET to .NET Core?
Like whole bunch of them, even like .NET, Angular, old Java, and C, C++. Within mainframe, we have just not COBOL, and there are 4GLs out there. If you have if you have worked with in the mainframe system. So we have our system can look at languages like Sign-On, for example, and convert them into a modern tech stack. We can also look at CoolGen or CAGen, as it is called. So we can transform that too. So it's a whole bunch of capabilities that we offer. What you see on the screen is the output that is getting generated, which is first one that you saw is a flow diagram, which kind of shows what this particular program does. The 7,000 line COBOL code. So the output that comes out is quite exhaustive. And this is the scenarios that we capture. The first we create what we call as text scenarios from the code, kind of articulating what that code does in a semi-business language. Along the way, we also capture all that, for example, the data structure that code uses, and we explain each procedure within the code in a pseudo technical language. This is for any non-COBOL developers to come in and have a look at it to understand what the code does. And data structures are important. Either through copybooks or other means in which the data structures are captured in the COBOL, we convert them into something that is readable by a non-COBOL developer. And eventually this gets fed into our code creation prompts also, in case you have to create, let's say, a database, let's say a SQL or a NoSQL database from a DB2 data structure.
So is this like entirely grounds up build tool, or are you in the back end using some of the AWS services to do some of the tasks? Okay.
Yeah, so we are hosted completely on AWS. So we use AWS platform services, the cloud platform services, and also AWS Bedrock quite a bit.
Got it.
Okay. So the last one that you're going to see here is basically what we call as their user stories. These are pure functional language explaining what the code does. This is the input we actually shared with our business counterparts from our clients, so that they can review the functionality and they can come in and make changes to this if they want to. And we see that too. There are cases where there are certain functionalities that our clients don't want to carry forward into the modern world. So they can come and update this user story and it will be reflected. This is the key output that we create. So this becomes the input for our code generation and also for our test case generation agents. Okay. Any questions so far?
Yeah. So just to highlight this, so basically we look at the code, it looks at the code first, it analyzes all the logic, and then it writes out what this code did in a kind of human language, and then we're going from that to the modernization code.
Exactly. The idea for that is basically one of the challenges that we have seen with tool-based legacy modernization, and there are pre-GenAI tools that are out there too. The challenge is that while you modernize from, let's say, COBOL to Java, you also end up carrying forward most of the COBOL-specific technical nuances into the Java world. So you end up with a code which is written in Java but kind of follows your mainframe or COBOL, coding practices and architecture standards. So we wanted to kind of avoid that. That was one of the first problems that we ended up we started solving. And the way we solved it is this process where we make it a completely two different process, where one is to kind of clearly take out business logic alone from the legacy code, keeping all the technical implementation aside. And the next process is using the business logic, create the new code, following all modern architecture standards and practices.
Got it.
Yeah. And I think there's a question in the chat, which is about, can this tool suggest architecture options even before code generation?
Absolutely. So the spec to design is basically meant for that purpose. So we can create architectural suggestions on pattern that you can follow and like a high-level solution design that you can follow. But that can be changed too. Typically, what happens is the output that comes of spec to design, which basically says, given this context that you have of your legacy code or set of legacy codes, what is the best possible architecture that you can follow. But that is always we take it and discuss with our client, their enterprise architecture team, and we end up inputting their particular design constraints. And for example, UX standard, that is client-specific UX standards. All of them can be inputted as part of the spec to design. So that becomes an input along with the specs that we have generated into the next process, which is creating the code.
Got it.
Okay. Do you have time for one quick demo? Another quick demo?
You get about 4 minutes. So.
Okay, probably that's all it takes.
Okay. So while this demo is playing, so is this? I mean, how do you provide this to their clients? Is it sold as a subscription service, or do you use it yourself as part of the delivery?
Yeah, it's this. We use it as part of a delivery primarily. But we are discussing options to provide it as a service also. But primarily, we are a consulting company, so we use this tool to kind of help accelerate the service that we are providing to our customers. So quickly, what you're seeing is we are taking the two stories that were created in the previous step, and now we are creating the Java code. Okay, so this is it's completely service driven, the code that is getting created. We also have provisions for capturing your database schema, so you'll see some Lombok kind of syntax here. So this is again highly customizable, so we kind of created it in a certain way based on our experience building microservices. But this is something which clients can always come in and provide inputs to on how they want to design the the modern systems, and that those can be provided as inputs to our respective code, as I was referring to previously.
Wonderful.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I think this looks super interesting and promising, and I'm assuming there is quite a good adoption within your client base. So tell our users where they can learn about this product and this thing.
Yeah.
Your company as well.
Yeah. So this is our link to our human space. So we will be there as part of reInvent. Looking forward to see you there. But you can go to this link, and if you want to have any more further demos or prototypes, then you can reach out to us through this.
Awesome. I mean, that is super exciting. I love the software. I love the innovation there. So we have a couple minutes left in this interview. Can you tell us where we can find out more information about your company, more information about this tool, and even if you have social medias that you want to kind of shout out so people can get in contact with you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We will share them, after this call through the chat. The way to contact us, but primary means to contact us for this event is through this link, and through here we can help you reach out to our team who can provide you the information that you need.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We welcome you back anytime if you want to talk about extra things you've built, because I'm super excited to see what the future looks like with these kind of type of modernizations.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to adapting some of the innovations that you mentioned earlier in the call today, in the discussion today. So looking forward to collaborate with AWS on this.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
All right, audience, we're about halfway done, but stay tuned. We've got another special guest coming up, so we'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back to this exciting episode of AI Live. My name is Brian Terry, and I'm a senior partner solution architect here at Amazon, focusing on Gen AI migrations. And I'm joined here with my good friend Parajat.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, everyone. My name is Parijat Awasthi. I'm a senior partner solution architect at AWS, and I specialize in migration and modernizations. And I was personally happy about the previous
Yes.
session, which was more about modernization. How are we modernizing the big chunk which is still left on premises or even in the cloud? How do we modernize all of that using the power of AI and agentic AI? So,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. I'm super excited. That first half was super informative, being able to say that we still have cobalt on the planet and we're still modernizing it with AI, which is something I thought I would never say 5 years ago. But yeah, super interesting stuff.
And Brian, you're the second person I'm hearing this say that. The first person say that, uh, it was a mainframe person, and he was saying that, I could have never imagined that the people are talking about building cool and exciting stuff to modernize the mainframe workloads. So cool, modernize, exciting, and mainframe, that didn't go together very well for quite some time.
Exactly. It's definitely an exciting time.
Yeah.
To the audience, this is your first time joining us. We're super excited that you're here. And the people that continue to join us for every show, we're happy that you keep coming back. And you can join us every Wednesday at 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. However, we're doing every 2 weeks up until reInvent. So we're actually going to be live at reInvent giving a show. So we're kind of prepping for that. But other than that, we'll go back to our standard operating schedule of 1 week to give you the latest and greatest in what Gen AI in the Gen AI space of AWS and its partners and say what we're doing.
Got it.
Yeah. So Parajat, that was just the first half. I mean, we have another exciting guest. How about we
Yeah.
bring them on?
Yeah, let's bring them on and learn how we are building better agents faster. Click.
Yes. So welcome to Gen AI Live. We're super excited you're here. How about you introduce yourselves?
Great. I'll start in. So Brian and Parajat, thanks for having us. I'm Brendan Grady. I'm the general manager for our AI and analytics division at Qlik.
Yep, and good to meet you, everyone. I'm Kyle Jordan. I help run the AI practice here at Qlik with Brendan.
Welcome, Brendan, and welcome, Kyle. We're super excited you're here. Awesome company. First, let's talk a little bit about who your company is and what your company does.
That's great. I'm a big fan of Mythbusters, by the way. Right. So I think one of the things is people think of Qlik and who we are and who our background is as we're a desktop data discovery tool. That's the myth. The reality of the situation is who we really are is we're actually a complete end-to-end platform that goes all the way from raw data to action using complex analytics and really just a foundation that's built on top of AWS.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I mean, very cool, very innovative tool. So you guys have been in this space for a while. Can you talk a little bit about how long you guys have been in this space and then where you guys have kind of evolved with this new Gen AI kind of world?
Absolutely. So we've been in business for 30 years. That sounds crazy. It's sort of like your conversation about COBOL, right? We've been in business for 30 years, and we were founded in Lund, Sweden, where I'm actually presenting from right now. And we were founded to solve a really complex problem on understanding relationships between different pieces of data. And we had this foundational technology that's called the associative engine. And if you think about what it really does, it helps you identify patterns within all of the data that normal visualizations would never find. It's simply well beyond that. And so if you think about what's required in today's world, especially in agentic world, understanding all of your data in context so that you can make decisions off of it. And as you're building applications, we fit as that trusted layer within all of that context and all of the solutions that are out there.
Oh man, that's super interesting stuff. So if we kind of step back a little bit, then a 10,000 foot view, assuming I'm a customer and I have this data problem, how do you guys address these problems? What is the methods you take in order to help me in finding data.
That's great. And so as you think about, it's almost like we planned this next section where the slide came up, right? So where you really fit in, and when you're trying to build out an enterprise architecture for AI and really getting into the agentic world, you really got to think about all of those data sources that you have to get. You start with that raw data, and that raw data is really critical. And you mentioned in your previous section, COBOL and mainframes. We're really good at going after all of those types of sources, but we also go after your more modern sources like cloud platforms, things like Databricks and Snowflake. We can bring data into that, we can get data out of it. Ultimately, for us, where we really fit in as well is we provide governance and make that data trusted. And we are really focusing on giving trusted data products so that anybody that needs to run AI on top of that data or analytics on top of that data, they have full confidence that they can understand what is happening in that data. And then finally, if you think about how people are consuming data in today's world, we're going down the path where, yes, there are humans involved, there are humans in the loop, but we're also going to be in this agent to agent world where you're going to have to trust that data. So we provide the ability to give AI enabled data products and give people the ability to build on top of that so that they can ultimately get every piece of data they need to incorporate into their data products that they can incorporate it into their AI architecture so they can make better decisions and take better actions against it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is interesting stuff. I mean, it definitely, you guys take a pretty encompassing way of finding that problem for the customer, which is their data, and then helping them to understand it and then trust it. I think trust is a big part of using data.
If you think about the people that are on the call right now that are building these agents or these types of applications for businesses, when you go down this path, if you don't have trusted data and you put something into an agentic framework and you're automating some of your decisions, think of everything that can go wrong, right? You have one piece of data that is a little off. You end up on the front page of, say, the Wall Street Journal, and not in a good way, right? It's going to be in a really bad way. So you were really focusing in on that trusted layer to make decisions off of it, because the world that we're living in right now, everyone wants to log into, say, Anthropic via Bedrock and ask a question and know what they're getting back is trustworthy. So we're really focused in on that and giving anybody who's trying to build on top of that the ability to have that type of confidence in what they're building to support their organization.
Yeah. So I wanted to double click a little bit on that trust part of building trust on data. So how do we do that? Because we understand garbage in, garbage out. So how do we make the data not garbage so that we don't get the garbage out, right?
That's great. So there are a couple pieces that we offer here. So we have one thing, we have a patented trust score for AI. So we've trademarked that. So we're actually looking at the raw data as it's being processed and being transformed so that you can get a confidence score on top of that data so that you know I can trust that. The second piece is Qlik's differentiated technology called the associative engine. This brings all of your data into your environment. It looks at it. It essentially applies a knowledge graph to it to understand what is happening. And more importantly, it gives you context. The combination of both trusted data products with the AI trust score with the context engine that is the associative engine will give you answers that you simply can't get with other solutions.
Got it. Yeah. And I see these different labels, right? Click, click, click everywhere. So are these like different products or same product with different with so many different capabilities?
Yeah, so it's all about it's all one product, right? So we all have one cloud platform that is built on top of AWS. These are all varying capabilities that you need in order to build these rich applications that are driven via AI. You need to be able to bring the data in. You need to be able to trust that as part of your platform, and then you need to be able to consume it and action it. So all of these things are where Qlik fits in a normal enterprise architecture.
Got it. And I also see agents in MCP. So I'm assuming there are MCP servers which a developer can use to integrate their agents and use the capabilities of Qlik.
So we're really going heavily into the path, going down this path. And so our agentic framework has really been built so that um, you can take advantage of our trusted data products and our associative engine. If you're saying you're using Anthropic and you're using Claude and you want to ask questions of structured and unstructured data, you can come in through MCP. We are also looking at people building data pipelines, people building analytic applications and using coding assistants that will allow you to do that. By taking this approach of using these AI assistants and coding assistants with MCP and our agentic architecture, we've been able to cut the development time down on some of these analytic applications from what would be days or weeks to minutes. And that's one of the things that we're really finding that our developers are really honing in on, because we know in today's world, if you're not building your applications and getting into the hands of people that need it quickly, you're going to be left in the dust. So we're really focusing in on going down this MCP path. And there'll be a lot to hear about it from Qlik at reInvent. We're really excited to be at reInvent.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I'm already excited. Do you have a demo or something that we can walk through?
We love to show our products, and so I think it's we always say at Qlik, let's less talking, more showing, right? And so what we'd love to walk you through is our Answers product, which really is designed to bring structured and unstructured data together on an agentic framework. And Kyle, you've got a great story that will probably blow people's minds here.
Yeah. So sometimes people ask me, what does AI practice mean? It means I get to show you all the cool things Brendan's talking about, right? So we can show slides and share that story, but it's really exciting when we can actually put some product on the screen, and more importantly, product that's available for people to use today, which I think is pretty cool. So I threw my screen up here, and I'm going to start from the basics. Brendan talked about, and you saw on some of those slides, we've been doing analytics for over 30 years. So it's our bread and butter. It's where a lot of people start in Qlik, and we do it really well. So, I've got a really basic analysis of my customer overview up here, right? But behind that overview is that associative engine that Brendan talked about. So you can see I've got data coming in from lots of different sources. I've got something from my CRM, right? I've got something coming in from my cloud data warehouse, my on-premise database. Whatever the case may be, I've coalesced all this, and the associative engine has found all of the relationships that exist for inside of that data for me. So I didn't need to go through and define any joins or table relationships or anything like that. It was able to piece all those things together. And by the way, I've also augmented it with predictive insight. So we use Qlik Predict to go through, put together a predictive model without writing any code. And it's now able to give me insights into what's getting my customers to stay around longer versus what's causing them to leave, and what individual factors are influencing that. So that's now all inside of this data model that has a layer of semantics that really makes it platinum layer in a lot of ways in your medallion architecture, if you want to look at it that way, right? So we have a great starting point to do some generative insights using agentic AI here. Any questions on that? Does that all kind of make sense, resonating?
It does. In fact, I just wanted to point out that you talked about using predictive modeling. So I like that, because not everything you will be solving with the agentic AI. There will be some use cases for which it will make more sense to use the traditional methods.
Yeah, I always say, a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's certainly been the case with agentic AI. In that I came to Qlik via an acquisition that Qlik did that became the automated machine learning platform in the platform today. And we for years were trying to convince people that predictive AI was the right solution for a lot of problems. And I think there's a tendency now for people to go to generative AI and try to use it to solve things that we really should be using predictive AI for. So it's exciting to see the reinvigoration, if you will, of excitement around traditional machine learning and predictive, but with the power of agentic helping orchestrate a lot of those situations. So, we've got our data model here. I want to start asking questions. I want to start understanding what's going on in my data. So I can come in and ask, a really simple question. So rather than, I can start my day by coming in and saying, you know what, I've got a lot of customers that are worth a lot to me. and they're leaving, and I need to know why. I need to know why that's happening. So maybe that's a request to my analyst team, to a BI developer somewhere. I put that request in, maybe they can get it turned around in a few hours, as Brendan said, maybe a couple of days, depending on their backlog. Or I can come into Qlik Answers and I can say, what are my highest LTV customers most at risk of churn? So what you're immediately going to see is the agents getting to work, right? So you're going to see the first agent break down the question and kind of understand what things it needs to use, what tools it needs to use to solve that problem. And then you're going to start to see semantic search happening, a data analyst agent working through the kind of complexities of what metrics should I use? Are there master items that can help solve or answer this question? And then it'll work through the logic of, okay, what charts do I need to construct? How do I need to present this in a way to the user that it directly answers their question? And so what I'll do is I'll pop over to, where I asked that question just a little bit earlier, just to give you an idea of what sort of answer you're going to get here in about 30 seconds, right? So you'll see that it gave me a nice succinct answer. First of all, it surfaced the exact customers to me that are most at risk. So it said, okay, here are the ones that are driving the most lifetime value and have the highest risk score coming from the predictive model. So you can see we had an agent here that used predictions. We had an agent that was able to go through our data model and calculate lifetime value. Then it came back and it summarized, presented me a few charts. But more importantly, you guys have all been talking about trust, right? And everything we build AI at Qlik is trust first. So we need to not only be able to give you the answer, but I need to be able to tell you how I got that answer so that you can believe in it and go and use that information with the most amount of faith possible. So we have reasoning that breaks down the way that the agents worked through the various components, what data was used there. I can view the source to see what data models were used to answer that question, what fields were parts of the calculation, what exact calculations were used to generate these charts and visualizations and answers. So lots of great explainability to give me faith that the response you're seeing is one that is reliable and that I can make business decisions on and go and use that to be actionable.
Awesome.
Any questions on that? Does that all make sense?
One question I have, and I think there are a few questions in the chat as well. So
Yeah.
for all these circles, right? So I assume these are the different data sources. So are you bringing them somewhere in the centralized data lake, and from there you're making all these, different relationships between the data sources?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this data is being loaded into our Qlik Cloud and then in our associative engine. So it's all happening in memory, which there are obviously a lot of advantages of that, right? Especially when you're thinking about all of the potential inquiries. So I think, Brendan would agree that pretty much all the other solutions that we see out there are a lot of text to SQL solutions. And, while you could take the time to really vet those out and hone them in, tune the models, kind of get it in the right place, there's a lot of inherent risk out of the box of doing some of that, right? Is it generating an efficient query that's not going to rack up a big bill for me, right? Or is it using all of the right information, the right tables, the right fields? How do I know that it's calculating lifetime value, how my company calculates lifetime value, right? And so the benefit of moving this data into the Qlik engine is that you get all of that semantic understanding in the time that people have invested into these apps or data models inside of the Qlik Cloud, right? They have defined master measures that say, here's how we look at lifetime value, or here's how we look at cost of goods sold. All of those metrics have been defined in a way that the agentic AI here can use the right data and not be hitting our data warehouse or our data lake too repetitively when we're just doing basic exploration for a lot of this stuff.
And Parjat, I would also call out, so the bubble view here is just a nice holistic view of what your data actually looks like. The interesting thing to actually build the data model behind this, most data pipeline projects will take you several weeks to do, right? Because you need to figure out how this data all gets joined together. We can actually build a data model like this in a matter of minutes. So that's one of the core things with the associative engine, where we can actually connect hundreds of data sources together. And the key thing that we do differently is we are able to find associations between data that you just can't find with anybody else. And so it cuts the amount of time down and builds the accuracy off of that. The second thing from a developer perspective, people that are building these solutions, the knowledge base behind what you're seeing Kyle demoing, the knowledge base is we acquired a company a couple of years ago to automate the RAG pipelines. So we can actually cut the development of these generative AI solutions down from months to actually, I had one customer who spent a year building a RAG pipeline. We actually can do this in a matter of seconds. So I'd love to, Kyle, I think that's probably a good place for us to go next.
Yeah. So, the last thing I want to touch on is exactly what Brendan's getting at. I showed you the structured data component of, asking questions of our structured data model. The reality is you probably have an answer that is covering both unstructured and structured data, right? So we need to be able to bring in both components to a single place and do both reliably. So what I've done here is I've actually put together a specific assistant that has access to very specific information. So one is that data model that we were just looking at and asking questions of. But you can see I've also added two knowledge bases like Brendan was talking about that are pointed at unstructured data sources. So one is connected to some sort of email management system where I have all the communications between me and my customers. The other is all of the great product marketing information that our team has put together that has information about the products, the packages we offer, the competitive situations, everything like that. So like Brendan said, and like you saw just a second ago, connecting that data is as easy as literally plugging your credentials in for SharePoint, for S3, for Dropbox, wherever your repository of documents is, we have a connector to go in there and index those at the source. So we're not copying those files into our cloud. We're leaving them where they are. We're keeping them up to date, watching for updates like new files, deletions, changes to existing files. And then we can bring all of that together into one cohesive agent that allows us to ask questions like I have on the screen here. So I asked that question again, what customers have the highest LTV and are most at risk of canceling? But now the answer is synthesized across not only that structured analysis that we saw happen, but there's an additional part here where the system actually went through the emails between our customer service reps and these customers and was able to summarize this list of customers, which ones had written emails or filed service tickets and made complaints about the service they were receiving, the pricing, and gave me some information, some insight into what's ultimately leading them to be at risk of churning here. And I can ask great follow-up questions here, like, okay, you know what? I don't want to hear bad news all the time. If I'm going to convince these people to stay with me, what should I go and tell them about what our customers like? And so it was able to go through again and go through all those email sources and product marketing information, cite its references, say, here's where I got this information from. It's not just from my general knowledge. You can trust that this information is coming from your reliable data sources, and was able to synthesize the information that I'm looking for here. And then, ultimately I said, okay, great. Now bring both those pieces together. Take that list of customers, take their concerns, but take that list of good things about what we offer and put together a talking point for me to go and save these customers that are at risk of leaving. So it put together a plan for me. And now really the last mile is taking action on that. And that's really another great component that's part of the Qlik Cloud is the ability for us to integrate back into these source systems. So, maybe I tell the agent now, hey, go and create a Salesforce task for this particular customer where the account executive can reach out with this action plan to save this customer. Or maybe I want to enroll them in some sort of MailChimp or Marketo campaign that's built around customer retention, that has promotional offerings, things like that. So really that last mile of getting action into the actual tools that people use day to day, to me, is the most impactful of all of this, because building all these cool AI tools means nothing if no one's actually using them or taking action on the information that they're getting, right?
That's awesome. I'm already thinking like a customer, and I have like, if I get this product, how soon, how soon after I'll start getting the value out of the system. So I think there are some questions in the chat. Maybe if you want to have a look at that. I think there's one question. Yeah.
There were a couple about AI agents evolving around data annotation. Data prep is a big thing that we think about and how we actually maintain that data. We see a world where a lot of the traditional data prep and data annotation is going to be automated by AI agents. However, we're still in a world where there's going to be human in the loop in that. So what I would expect for organizations that are really trying to wrangle all of the data that's being thrown at them is that you want to start by really focusing in on getting a solid trust score out there and understand exactly what you have, and then slowly make it so that you automate some of these data rules to update your data. It's going to be a bit of a journey here, because ultimately that foundational data piece, if you get that wrong, everything we just showed you is basically pointless. So you want human in loop. That's sort of how we see that evolving.
Yeah. So just to double click on that, we'll ask. Well, we have another question from the audience. Is curious to know how the hallucinations is solved even with trusted data.
That is a great question. And one of the best features in what we just showed you, this is my favorite feature in the entire product. We actually will respond, I don't know. We will actually give you an answer that tells you we don't know. So one of the things, which is interesting, because if you play with some of the other tools out there, they'll make up story hour for you and tell you all sorts of crazy things, right? We're really focusing on avoiding those hallucinations. And if you look at the best in class vendors out there, they guarantee 90% accuracy right now. We're really focusing on aligning to that. But then if we don't have the answer for you, we just want to say we don't know. It's just going to protect you.
I've always said one of the hardest challenges in today's development world is getting an LLM to stop talking. So if we can get it to say, I don't have the answer, then that's a really powerful capability that most don't think about, right?
Yeah. To that point, if it doesn't know the answer and says, I don't know this, can it help you in some way find the answer? Can the human and AI work together to get to a correct place?
Yeah.
So that's a great one. I can tell you that and I'll make sure we get a blog post and a follow-up here. There's a blog post about our associative engine, and our associative engine was designed from the ground up to work like a human brain. And we've all been on a website where we've gone down the rabbit hole, clicking every link possible, right? Our human brains are designed to do that. So we'll guide you and make recommendations on things that you don't necessarily even think of in asking your question. So our product is designed to do that.
Yeah, I'll add a couple other components beyond just the functional agents that are doing certain things. We also have things like productivity agents that can help you do tasks inside of the Qlik platform, right? So, you say, hey, I need to be able to create a space that is shared with these people. It can do that for you. If you say, how do I, change the formatting of this chart? There's a help agent that can assist you with that. And then all of these assistants and agents and the conversations you're having have feedback mechanisms. And we have review portals as part of the platform. So administrators can come in, they can see the questions that aren't being answered, and then they can help fill those knowledge gaps, right? They can say, oh, you know what? I do have an S3 bucket with documents that have all the answers to these questions that aren't getting answered right now. So let me connect that to my assistant and make that information available to my users. So there's a lot of different ways that we help keep the visibility into what's happening open so that you can see, frankly, what you haven't been able to see before, because there are probably people searching for documents in your organization today that aren't finding them. You just didn't know about it. Now you have the ability to see where those knowledge gaps are and hopefully solve them, right?
So our call to action here for everybody on the call, since I heard the last section, you asked, how can we get in contact with you? Number one, we're going to be at AWS reInvent. We are so excited to be there. We are in booth 1727. We will be there, and anybody that's on this session right now, bring us your challenging use case where you've got a ton of data across a bunch of different systems with both structured and unstructured data, and challenge Kyle and me to help you out. That's what we really want to do. Kyle, I think you're up for the challenge.
Yeah, I am. And by the way, everything I covered today, it's all available in a free trial that you can access on the website. So if you want to go touch this stuff and kind of start to play around with these capabilities, go to the website, try for free. You'll get access to the Qlik Cloud, where you can start to build these knowledge bases, start to try this associative engine technology, see the no-code data flow capabilities that we have in there. There's some really powerful stuff that you can get your hands on today that's all available to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Brendan and Kyle. Awesome. Thank you for just showing us an awesome demonstration. And I'm looking forward to trying your solution as a trial. So I'm super excited about that. So thank you, Parijat, for being here. Thank you, audience, for coming to this latest show of AI Live. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.